Hello everyone and welcome to an Intel Slot 1 video. This CPU was already one time on my channel and I fixed a few traces on the back of the CPU. This is a PCB I found like this without the plastic cover at the scrapyard and I have no idea what CPU this is. In a previous video, we checked what voltage is configured here. I think it is 1.7 volts if I'm not mistaken. I tried to look up the models that could match this CPU. Unfortunately, for almost every megahertz step, there could be a model that would fit to this PCB. So it could be anything from 650 maybe or 600 megahertz all the way up to 1 gigahertz. So yeah, that doesn't help. So the voltage is not a real indicator, and with this CPU being stuck at postcode C0, we don't even know what multiplier this CPU has. Now I did look around the PCB a little bit further, and I have seen that there is a date code. In this case, it is 0124, so this was made in the 24th week of 2001. Now I have some other CPUs here which we can compare to this CPU, and what already sticks out is this model. This is not a copper mine, this is a cut mine. It is still a Pentium III and it is a 600B version, so 600 megahertz at 133 megahertz frontside bus, but it has the level 2 cache next to the CPU, whereas all the other models that I have here have the level 2 cache integrated in the die. So it definitely can be one of those. It is definitely a copper mine. So what models do we have here? This is a Pentium III with 700 megahertz, 256 kilobytes of level 2 cache, runs at a frontside bus of 100 megahertz and 1.7 volts core voltage. This CPU has the correct voltage, but when I turn it around, there are two things we need to consider. First of all, let's look at the date code here. So here is 0051, so 51st week of 2000. That's not a good indicator yet, but look at this chip that is here. I don't know exactly what this is for and what it's doing, but if I look at our other CPU with the fixed traces, you will see that these two chips look different. If you look at the markings, this one here looks like a chip from Philips, maybe. I don't know. There's this logo here. This one is not the same. Okay, otherwise, I didn't see any difference, to be honest. So, yeah. Maybe Intel just changed the chip. There is not too much difference between the date codes of the PCBs, so it could be that it's a 700 megahertz model. Let's check this one. This one is a 600E model. This PCB was made in the 15th week of the year 2000. The color of this tantalum capacitor is different. This one was the same, it was yellow. This one is black. So is on our questionable CPU. It's also yellow. But as we can see here, this chip again has the markings of a Philips chip. So there are also differences with this model. So let's check the next one. What is this one? This is a 650 megahertz version, also 100 megahertz, and you see here the voltage is 1.65. So if you look at these resistors here, these ones, and I think one on the other side, defines what voltage the CPU will get. And you can see that these ones are populated on different spots. But let's still have a look at the back of the board. Oh, where is our date code? It is no longer here. The date code is here. So this is the 21st week. It's printed here on the silk screen. 21st week of the year 2000. So this is a very different PCB. Even though I think this batch number, or I don't know, this version number of the PCB is the same as we have on our questionable CPU. So 746509001. So yeah, I don't know what this number is. It's just the same. And again, if you look at this chip here, it is not the one that is on our questionable CPU. So all of these ones were made in the year 2000. Let's turn this one around as well. Whereas the one that I have here was made almost mid-2001. So this is still the most recent PCB that was made. So let's have a look at this one here. This one is a Pentium III. It has my stick on it because I tested this CPU before. And this is a 1 GHz, 133 MHz frontside bus version. It also has 1.7 volts. So let's have a look at the resistors. So here we have no resistors here. We have one here. So it is different from this CPU because we have 2 resistors here. So I'm assuming this is maybe a 1.75 version, not even a 1.7 version. And no, this is also wrong. Well, I guess this is happening when you're leaving too much time between projects. This CPU is indeed a 1.7 volt version, but it doesn't look like it. The problem is that in my previous video, I added a resistor to bring the voltage up to 1.8 volts. And the reason is very simple. The P2B has a voltage regulator circuit that only goes down to 1.8 volts. So if you plug in a CPU that is requesting 1.7 volts, the system will not start. And that is why I added this little modification. You can figure out what voltage a CPU will request by looking at the resistor configuration, but that is quite difficult. So that is why you can go to my website and download an Excel sheet that I uploaded for the other project, where you can just enter where the resistors are placed, and then it will give you what voltage the CPU will request. So everything that I said in this video so far is correct. Even the list of CPUs that were scrolling over the screen a few moments ago are the 1.7 volt versions. So they are possible candidates what this CPU could be. And now we can continue with a regular video and look at the 1 GHz version. But before that, let me thank today's video sponsor, PCBWay. Are you looking for your partner to bring your creative hardware projects to life? PCBWay has you covered with high-quality PCB manufacturing and assembly services. And if you're looking for inspiration, you can browse through PCBWay's shared project space. There, you will also find my SIM memory PCBs, Voodoo memory upgrade boards, the negative 5-volt power converter, Tony's 90-degree ISA adapter, and much more. PCBWay offers other services like CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. Check out PCBWay.com today and take your next project to the next level. Links are in the video description. This is a 1 GHz version now, and let's have a look at this CPU. So here we have our date code again here. It is 2000, so it's also 2000, but 52nd week. We're almost in the year 2001, which is an indicator that Intel already made 1 GHz versions when this board was manufactured. So maybe our latest version here is a fast CPU. We have the yellow tantalum, and then look at the chip. It is the same. So the question now is this a very fast clocked Pentium III? Now there is one more issue with this CPU, and this is this chip. I don't know if you can see it, but it is tilted. It definitely got hit. Maybe that caused this chip to malfunction. So I wonder if I transplant the chip that is on this CPU to this CPU, if we get something different. But if this doesn't work, I think I should try to reflow this chip to this PCB. Tony recently made a video about resurrecting one of those slot 1 CPUs by reflowing this chip on the PCB. So maybe we are lucky and this will work on this CPU as well. And then we will finally know what CPU this is. So let me install the CPU in my Asus P2B now, and then we can verify that this board indeed gets stuck at C0, because I don't remember exactly if this was really the postcode. It's just the very first one that appears on the post analyzer card. And then, yeah, we take it from there. And yes, the system still gets stuck at C0. So let's replace the chip. Okay, and we are under the microscope, and this is our chip on the broken CPU. This is a Texas Instruments chip, 16C19VK, but I think the model number is SN320000. I couldn't find anything regarding this chip, so I have no idea what this is. If we look at the other CPUs with the Philips counterpart chip, I don't know, it's this GTL 2000DL. Here you have the model numbers printed on the chip. You can look them up, try to figure out what those are. Now let's have a look at the one that is working. Okay, this one has something completely differently printed on the housing. This is the one from the Pentium 1000 that works. I have no idea if we are going to make a huge mistake putting this chip on this other cartridge. But if you look at this one, you see that it is tilted. I think there was one pin, this one here, which was really badly bent. It could be that there is a problem with the corner pin here. Anyway, I am trying to go ahead with my plan and replace this chip with the one from the 1 GHz model. Oh, by the way, I'm using Tony's 90-degree ISA adapter. This is very good to have. That's my wife leaving notes for me here. So with Tony's adapter, you can flip the card that it faces upright, and this is much better to see the postcodes or debug some of the ISA cards that you may have. This adapter is available for 8 and 16-bit ISA slots. So this new chip didn't change anything. Now, I also tested the chip that was on this cartridge before. I basically soldered it to the 1 GHz Pentium III, and that CPU works. So it definitely was not this chip. Now, the only thing I can think of is to reflow this entire die with a substrate, but maybe we have to do more than I initially thought. Here you see one of the solder balls, which doesn't look good, and it's all dirty underneath that CPU. And you may be able to also see that there is a little bit of a damage on the PCB. The contact pad where the solder ball is connected to has lifted from the PCB. I can see there is a gap underneath. So we might actually have issues on the contact pads as well. In general, the CPU seems to be very dirty. I have a feeling this is just the dust at the scrapyard with the remaining flux that was under that CPU. So yeah, I think better to just lift the entire core here, and maybe we will be able to spot some more issues that we wouldn't be able to fix by just going ahead and reflowing the solder balls. So yeah, but first I need to make sure this CPU is completely dry. And here we are. This is the second time I'm trying to solder a BGA chip to a PCB. The first one was for a Voodoo 3 that wasn't successful, but that might have been because most likely the chip was no longer working. But I have a really good feeling about this one. So I hope I didn't destroy the chip due to high heat or whatever else. I don't think there is a short or some of the solder balls make connections with each other, because I was surprised how good that looked. So yeah, what I will do now is I will just install a proper cooler. I do not even want to try just a little bit. I want to go all in. For this, I'll just use this plastic case of a 650 megahertz Pentium III. Anyway, it's just for testing. In case this CPU will work, which, well, chances are very high that it doesn't, but still. So yeah, let's see if that work was worth it. At least I think I got a lot more confident with BGA chips to resolder. But it would be nice if one of these projects will be successful. So now very carefully I need to adjust this. Okay. And now comes the clip. And this is it. So yeah, this one sits there snug. Let's see if this works. That would be awesome if that would work. Let's try it. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see. Oh no. Even the fan stopped working. Let's try one more time. I made it worse. So, unfortunately, we will never know what CPU this was. Unfortunately, now it doesn't show any postcode anymore, and that is the end of the CPU. I'm not sure if I killed it by having too much heat on the chip. I'm not sure. I don't think I exposed it for too long to the hot air station. But yeah, I still need to practice. So yeah, second time BGA, also failure. Maybe I have to start working on a known good one, because this one could have been on its way out anyway. There are cracks on the edges of the die, so maybe by exposing it to heat, it just continued to crack and damage the rest of the vital circuits, and then we end up with a dead CPU. I don't think there are any issues with the solder balls. They look very nice in my opinion, and you can let me know in the comments what you think about the reballing of this chip. Yeah, and I'll keep practicing, and I will of course share with you my first success, and well, third time, who knows. Yeah, and unfortunately, this project is not successful. I will also share the ones that I work on and they fail. Nevertheless, it was a very nice experience. I had a lot more confidence this time than I did with the Voodoo 3. I guess every time you do this, you learn a little bit more, you're getting more confident, and I know one day I'll be successful removing one of these chips and putting them back on the PCB. If you enjoyed today's episode, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment what you think about this project. Of course, you can also leave some hints, tips, and tricks how to do this in the future better if you have seen something that I did wrong. And if you want to support my work, then you can head over to Patreon, pick one of the memberships. There is also a free tier if you just want to browse around. And finally, I want to thank all of you who are already on Patreon and PCBWay for supporting this channel. This is what makes those videos possible. Thank you so much for your time, thanks for watching, and I will see you in one of my future videos. Take care and bye bye.